I like so far I'm asking, so what, just what are these tears for? And also like doubting myself here a little bit. Like I'm saying, like, it is a sad thing, these changes in my life, yet I know it has to be, so what are these tears for? You can be upset even though you know that you have to move on, or it's not meant to be, whatever it is. You don't have to say, I shouldn't be crying, and stifle yourself. I only just really recently learned this, and then
through the pages of my old journals, with every turn another memory.
Hello and welcome to Journaling Through the Years, episode 96. And you know what funny? 96 was when I was in 1995, 1996 was my junior year of high school, and the year I should have graduated high school if I had not been held back a year in preschool, because I was really shy and small and quiet, not because I couldn't color in the lines or something. But I graduated in 1997, so when we get to Journaling Through the Years, episode 97, we should have a little, like, I don't know, graduation ceremony or something. I don't know. But we're reading this journal series on my channel where I read from my journals that I've been writing in since I was old enough to hold a pencil, and we're on 96 and we're still in high school, because I have written a lot of journals. And so let's see, I'm Leah Liz. Check out the bonfire merch. I was wearing a shirt last week, and now I'm wearing another shirt from the bonfire merch. Cover equals sexy. That is supportive of my local NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness branch. NAMI Southern Oregon supports that. Proceeds go to that. So check it out. Comes in different. All the merchandise comes in tank tops, tees, sweatshirts, pullovers, all different colors. So check it out. They're all in the description below, as well as the website, the Patreon. Let's get to it, because this is going to be a little bit of a longer one because I feel like it. So we're going to start with something just like last week. We're going to close the window on the kind of sad prose about my loneliness, and then go into a story, revisiting a certain story. But let's just read it. Okay, here's the sad prose. It is a sad thing. It is a sad thing, these changes in my life. Yet, I know it has to be. So what, just what, are these tears for? I love how I always describe these salty droplets of water spilling down my cheeks. Now, are the tears salty, or is it because, like, I have, like, makeup on, or I'm sweating, and it's like, or there's something in my skin, I need to clean my skin, and it's coming down, and I'm tasting it? Because you notice, like, tears can be salty. But is it the actual tears, or is it what's on our face, or is it a mixture of both? If you're a science-minded person, or something like that, put that in the comments. I'm curious. I like so far I'm asking, so what, just what are these tears for? And also like doubting myself here a little bit. Like I'm saying, like, it is a sad thing, these changes in my life, yet I know it has to be, so what are these tears for? You can be upset even though you know that you have to move on, or it's not meant to be, whatever it is. You don't have to say, I shouldn't be crying, and stifle yourself. I only just really recently learned this, and that was part of my issue, is that I wasn't free to share my emotions as a young one, and so I buried it, and I was kind of shamed when I would feel emotions. Specifically sadness, because it wasn't something that someone didn't want to see. And parental unit they didn't want to see, and so they would silence it, make me feel shame for crying, you know, don't cry about that, it's not important, you know, shaming me as I got older. And so I learned to hide it or feel shame, tell myself not to feel that way when I felt it. Feelings are feelings. Feel them, experience them, move forward. If you don't experience them, they're going to come up in another way. You can feel grief. You can feel your pain. It doesn't have to own you. By not feeling it, it's going to own you and overwhelm you, and you won't be able to move forward. So feeling them it's okay. For the ones, okay, so these salty droplets of water spilling down my cheeks, for the ones slowly ceasing to be with an incurable disease. So I know that I'm feeling pain and loneliness, coming back into school, missing my camp friends, having to deal with this stressful situation with my so-called best friend. But I think it's interesting that I'm also empathizing with these world issues, and it feels to me as a way of sort of invalidating my own pain, my own experience within, by saying there's more important things in the world. So that's true, and it's good to empathize, but also to not minimize my own pain, because by minimizing here, I was shaming myself so that I wouldn't feel, and not experiencing and dealing with what I was dealing with, and finding a healing for it so that I can focus on outwards, you know. Instead it was, yeah, there's bigger things in the world to worry about. Other people are more important than you. But in order to really help others, you got to take care of yourself first. Incurable disease gnawing away at one's insides. What did I know about this? I think I was told by a certain caregiver. At one's inside for the unfortunate, one's violently killed in hatred. Kaza. For the poor souls who never attain their goals. That's interesting to me. Like, it's always been emphasized of, like, accomplishments and success is based on achieving wealth, achieving acclaim in my life. And so I've always kept busy. And so I've had to learn that I still want to do that. I still find value in that, but not getting there at a certain time period, or achieving in a different way, or just resting is equally as valid. Never grasp hold of their dreams because of insecurity. That sounds familiar, because I had a lot of insecurity and was afraid to go, I wanted to be an actor since I was little, and I didn't. I would do acting classes because it wasn't, freedom of expression and creativity was not valued in my growing up years, and so I didn't, unless it was what was allowed and encouraged. I put my heart into, because I got encouragement for it, but other forms of expression that weren't valued, I neglected within myself. So my insecurity. So I didn't go after that dream as a young one. But I finally found my way to it. For the ones who can never be taught. The ones who can never be taught. Just the stupid ones. But are forever ignorant. Fundy Christians. I mean, what? No. What are these tears for? Why do I cry in these lonesome hours? For you? Yes, I sigh with a brimming in my eye for you. I think it's interesting that I did bring it back to me and to my own pain. I was probably trying to be poetic and saying I'm crying for you, like, collectively, but I think that I also like that I came back to me in a way, even though I couldn't, outward context, family, whatever, couldn't honor myself outwardly, but inwardly, somewhere inside of myself, I was honoring myself in my pain. Okay, we're gonna finish this series with The Bee is in Heat. The bitch is in heat. Remember that story? We've had another edition. It's just like how it just keeps on popping up. Just when we think we're done. The day slowly becomes night, and the darkness blankets all with a still peacefulness. Okay, I don't know where we're at. I crawl out of Jake's lap and lie down on the leather bench seat. I stare up through the open sunroof at the stars quickly flashing by as the car moves forward. So I think that I was driving in his lap. Michelle was on Jake's lap, remember that? And they were like singing the music, and then she got out. Now she's tired. It's like, oh my god, were you like driving tired? Okay, whatever. In my drowsiness, I can hardly keep my eyes open, but I chatter on about things neither my companion or I can figure out. Just talking. Just tired talking, or just, I don't even know. After a while, we decide to stop and rest for the night. Up ahead of us is a sign advertising a campsite. Richardson's Grove. Remember I was talking about that a couple episodes ago while I was writing? I'd been there. It's what I know. It reads, we turn in and pay the man in the little booth $5 to stay at a site for the night. $5? Can you imagine? Like, that seems so, I bet it's like so much more now. And that's probably what it was. Maybe I didn't even know though. Maybe I was like, because I didn't pay. Ravencliff paid. He gives us directions to our spot. Jake thanks him and drives in the direction he was guided. We reach our destination, a nice spot overlooking a dry riverbed with a fire pit and a picnic table. This is where I stayed when we wrote about it in previous times. I think I have a picture of that stump. A tree stump sits by the dry riverbed. This is where I'd stayed. I'm writing about it. That's cool. Right from your own life. For a moment, I survey the area, then I move over slowly to the picnic table and set my backpack down. Out of it, I pull a small flashlight and begin moving around the area, picking up sticks and dry grass. Over the fire pit, I kneel down, placing first the dried grass in a pile. Then I build a teepee with the sticks around it. Then proudly, I sit back and look at my creation. Ta-da! This is what they taught us at camp about how to build a tent. Or a fire. So a little teepee, and then you put the fire like in it, inside the teepee, and light it. Now to light it. Up again, I go over to my backpack and pull my green lighter. During all of this, Jake sits on the bench of the picnic table with his head rested on the table. Lazy. I'm doing all the work. I mean, he drove, but still, you can help here. Lazy. Tired, I ask. He doesn't say anything but groans. What happened to Jake? I walk over the fire and light it. I walk over to Jake. God, I'm walking everywhere. I'm doing everything, Jake. I mean, he did drive and just took off, like left everything behind. He has a home and everything. Whatever. I walk over to Jake and rest my hands on his shoulders. The fire's ready, I say. It'll be much warmer over by it. He slowly gets up and leans his body against me. Okay, he can't even walk. Another thing that Michelle has to do, she has to light the fire, set up the camp, and then walk him over. I wrap my arm around him and help him over. I sit. What is wrong with him? Is he dying? I set him gently by the fire for a moment. He sits in silence, then he lights a cigarette. Cigarettes are bad. And peers through the darkness at me across the way into my eyes to see the secrets which I keep covered and the lies which I tell to keep them covered. Okay. This happened before. He was like peering in my eyes, like in the darkness. And Michelle didn't want to be seen. This guy should learn. Or maybe he just wants to be like, who's with this person? I want to look in their eyes. And he's also probably like, hey, come on. You know. I try not to let my gaze rest too long on him and avoid his contact. Maybe also the fact that he didn't help me. He just like sat there tired while I did all the work. I mean, not I, but Michelle. And this also was very symbolic of the kind of men that I've had in my life, that I kind of always have to do all this like grunt work, and they're just kind of sitting there like in the past. have a history of bad relationships romantically. I look around at the tall trees standing straight like dark statues at the night sky with its twinkling sky and falling stars. Well, that's really pretty, isn't it? And listen to the melody of the wind, the crickets' music, and the faraway cars racing by on a highway. That's really vivid and a very good description. I like that. If for one moment I let these hazel eyes of mine linger upon his blue-eyed gaze. I always had a weakness for blue eyes. Something so extraordinary might happen. What do you think? We touched on this before in previous entries of the B as in heat. I might fall in love again, and then I would be lost to him forever. What happened to Michelle, and why is she at such a young age so closed off to love? It is an allegory for Leah, for me. I know that back then, and I think it's interesting that even at 16 I was hardening my heart because of the rejection, the heartbreak from not just the boyfriends, but my so-called best friend, the lack of trust I was feeling in the world in this early age, and that it would just continue. And then also on top of that, the not being allowed to experience my feelings outwardly, or whether inwardly, just feeling shamed for these feelings that are natural and having to stifle them. And so I'm writing the story about this person. It's an interesting story in its own, for whatever that is, but Michelle is definitely like that allegory of me, of trying to not fall in love, of pushing myself away, and yet at the same time, I feel, let me know if you think this, it's evident that she's going to, or that she is. I mean, remember, this was an ex-boyfriend who had left her for someone else. Sounds familiar. And then she'd called him when she left another guy, but she'd called him, and then they'd gone off on an adventure. So yeah, I just, it's a really interesting story. You can also comment on below what you think happens next, and if there is any more. I don't know. I'm reading these here, and then I'm like, oh look, it's another entry of the story. But yeah, so write down what you think happens after this with Michelle and Jake. And always, as always, don't forget, don't be like Michelle. Open your heart to life and to love. Experience your feelings. They're natural. You can overcome them. And remember, you matter. Your life matters. You are loved, and you are worthy of love. And always remember to love your thrive and find your sunshine.